Hey, how's it going, guys? So in this video we're going to be showing you the paint process from primer to shooting flake and clear coat in this video. And then this is going to be a two-part video because what we want to do is we want to pull designs, but you can't pull designs over flake. And what we want to do is clear coat, let that set up, wet sand that, pull whatever tape design we want to do, and then we're going to shoot our second color and then finish off with another coat of clear. So again, in this video all we're going to do is primer, flake, and clear. And then the next video will be wet sand, tape, color, and clear again. So yeah, let's get into it. So whenever you guys get your paint ready and you're ready to start mixing, you always want to make sure that you look at what the mix ratio is. And on this one right here, it's going to tell you, most of the time they'll always tell you on the can, and this one says 4 parts to 1. So it's going to be 4 parts paint and then 1 part of the catalyst. So what I like to do is I like to go to Home Depot and I buy these quart cups. They're about $1, so it's pretty inexpensive, and it has all of the different mix ratios on here. So all we got to do is find the one we need, which is a 4 to 1. This one says 4 to 1 to 1. We don't need to use any of this right here. This first number is going to equate to 4 parts. And then this next one is going to be the 1. So we want 4 to 1. So we're going to go here, use this one, the orange, and then we're going to go 1. But if you want to use more material, you can go to the 2, you can go to the 3, but always keep it that 3 to 3, 4 to 4, 5 to 5, etc., etc. That's how you want to do your measuring here, and that's how you utilize this, pretty much. Alright, cool. So primer's down, it's nice and smooth, filled. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to move on to a base coat, and we're going to lay down a color before we lay down our flake. And we're going to end up running with the silver right here because we're going to do a heavy metal flake, a heavy silver metal flake on it, but we want to get some color on it using medium reducer. And base coats are usually a 1-to-1 mix, 1-to-1. So we're going to go ahead and just dive into mixing that and show you guys exactly how we do that. Okay, so now we run into a predicament with this cup. On all the mixing ratios here, there's no 1-to-1. So a trick that I learned a long time ago at a body shop I used to work at, the painter used to use mixing sticks. And there's certain ones where they have different measurements, mixed ratios on them, and what you would do is you put it inside the cup and then you go up to the line. And a lot of these sticks are usually aluminum, but since we're ghetto here, we're using a paint stick. So 1-to-1, all right, that's 50-50. So if we're going to 1 inch right here, we're going to go up to 1/2 inch and then 1 inch. We're going to mark that and just pretty much mix it in the cup. Alright, cool. So now the helmet, it's all based out in silver. And the next thing we're going to move to is getting our flake ready. So what we're using is a mixture of micro, which is this right here. You can see how it's a lot finer and more ground up. And then we're going to use standard as well. We're going to mix it together because what we found is to get the best coverage, it's usually using a mixture of micro and standard flake. And these are all made by Paint Huffers. And we usually use a flake carrier. We like to use House of Color SG100 Intercoat. Some people like to use the SG150, but I swear by the SG100. That's all I will ever use when it comes to doing flake or pearls or anything like that. So SG100, mix your flake in. This right here, as you can see, tells you it's a 2-to-1 mix. That's 2 parts SG100, 1 part reducer. We're going to use, again, medium reducer, mix it with the flake, and go ahead and do a nice wet coverage on our helmet. Okay, so now when it comes to mixing in the flake, now that we have the reducer and we have the SG mixed in here, some people like to use teaspoons and, you know, like whatever. They like to measure out their flake. For us, we're going to go really heavy with it, and I find it's unnecessary because even when we spray it, it's more of misting, you know, misting the flake on. We're going to have a lot of stray flake, and again, if we're going heavy, we're just going to go ahead, eyeball it, and we're just going to load up the mixture right here. Alrighty, cool. So as you can see, the flake, we have our mixture that we're happy with. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is we're going to pour it down into the gun. No strainer. Of course, you don't want to strain out any of your flake. So we're going to pour it in, and then if you're going to notice, I'm going to be misting it on. I don't want to have any runs on the helmet, so just make sure you take your time, try and get a nice heavy wet coverage, and then let it tack up, and then we'll hit it again. Alright, so using the flake, it might get stuck in the throat of the gun. So what you want to do, I usually get a rag, put it right over the nozzle right here. Just lightly press the air. And what that does is that pushes all the air pressure back up and kicks it and clears the throat. Alright, so the flake is all said and done now. And it is everywhere. I mean everywhere. Look at this. Yeah. I mean, even though I'm wearing a coverall, I'm going to be blowing this stuff out of my butt for about a week. But it's going to be worth it. This helmet's going to look badass. And we're going to flake again this heavy when it comes to the color as well. So whenever you guys do something super heavy flake, just understand that do it outside, do it somewhere where ventilated and somewhere you can clean it all up. All right, let's get ready for clear. Okay, so clear coat's all mixed up. It's a 4-to-1. So 4-to-1 using 4 parts clear, 1 part catalyst. Gonna go ahead, we're gonna strain that. Shoot 3 coats. First coat's gonna be wet, but not super heavy. We're gonna go let that tack up, go ahead and do a second heavy coat, and then a third final drop coat on it. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so the helmet is now cleared, dry to the touch, and it's looking pretty good. Definitely we could have benefited by shooting another coat or 2 on here of clear coat, just because it is a little rough. The metal flake, whenever you do something really heavy like this, it's always highly suggested do 3 or 4 heavy coats on it. Make sure you wet sand and then add another 3 to 4 coats. You know, this is just what we've been taught, how we, we're told to go about it. Because if you do 3 to 4 coats and you keep adding clear to try and bury, you're gonna just keep building orange peel and all the graininess. So again, 3 to 4 coats, wet sand it, get it nice and flat, then add another 3 coats minimum, and then wet sand that, buff and polish, and it'll come out nice and clean, and you'll have all the flake that's deep and buried in there. If you do let's say you do something like this where it's still kind of grainy and you go to wet sand it, you're gonna wet sand all the effect off of the flake. We learned that the hard way. So make sure, again, take your time, add enough material to it so that you have enough to wet sand off and have the cleanest finish possible. So again, appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. If you missed the first one where we actually made this, go ahead, check it out. The next video coming up, we're going to go over wet sanding, we're going to go over tape outs and how to make your design, spray your second color, clear, and then yeah, finish it up. So again, really appreciate you guys, appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and hopefully it was informative. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. We are not professionals, we don't claim to be painters, this is just how we were taught, and it's just something we love to do. So again, appreciate it.